Part 1. San Francisco Arrival. Tom had always wanted to visit San Francisco. After years of dreaming, he finally booked a flight and arrived at San Francisco International Airport. The air was fresh, and the weather was perfect, neither too hot nor too cold. As he exited the airport, the famous Golden Gate Bridge came into view. Tom couldn't believe he was finally here. He took a deep breath and felt excited. He had read a lot about San Francisco, but seeing it in person was different. The city was bustling with people, cars, and buses. He took a taxi to his hotel, passing by streets full of shops and cafes. His hotel was located in a lively area close to Fisherman's Wharf. Tom checked in and went up to his room, eager to start exploring. He felt a sense of adventure. The view from his window was amazing. He could see the bay and part of the bridge. That evening, Tom walked around the neighborhood and grabbed a bite to eat at a local diner. Everything seemed so new and exciting. He couldn't wait for tomorrow's adventures. Part 1. City Discovery. The next day, Tom set out to explore San Francisco. He started by visiting the Golden Gate Bridge. It was even more impressive in person. He walked along the bridge, enjoying the breeze and the view of the bay. Afterwards, he went to Alcatraz Island, home to the famous former prison. The ferry ride was beautiful, and he took photos of the city skyline from the boat. Alcatraz was eerie but fascinating. He learned about the history of the prison and its infamous inmates. Tom spent hours there, reading all the signs and listening to the audio tour. When he returned to the city, he explored the famous cable cars. He rode one up to Nob Hill and marveled at the panoramic views of the city. Afterward, he visited Chinatown and had lunch at a small restaurant. He enjoyed the delicious food and the vibrant atmosphere of the area. San Francisco was full of surprises, and Tom was loving every moment. By the end of the day, he was exhausted but thrilled with his experiences. Part 3. New Friends. The next day, Tom decided to take a walking tour of the city. The tour guide was a friendly woman named Sarah. She was passionate about San Francisco and its history. As they walked through different neighborhoods, Sarah told stories about the city's past. Tom found it fascinating to learn about the city's diverse culture. He met several other tourists during the tour, and they all got along well. There was a couple from Canada and 2 young women from Australia. By the end of the day, Tom had made some new friends. They all decided to grab dinner together at a local seafood restaurant. Over dinner, they shared their travel stories and talked about their countries. Tom enjoyed hearing about life in Canada and Australia. After dinner, they all went to a nearby bar to listen to live music. It was a fun and relaxing evening. As Tom headed back to his hotel, he felt grateful for the new friends he had made. San Francisco had become more than just a place to visit. It was a place where he had connected with people. Part 4. Confrontation of Challenges. Although Tom was having the time of his life, he faced a few challenges during his trip. One day, he got lost while exploring a neighborhood. He had taken a wrong turn and ended up on a street he didn't recognize. At first, he felt a bit nervous, but then he remembered the advice Sarah had given him. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Tom approached a local shopkeeper and asked for directions. The woman was kind and gave him clear instructions on how to get back to his hotel. He was grateful for her help and made a mental note to always ask for help when needed. Another challenge was dealing with the city's public transportation system. It was a bit complicated at first, but after a few tries, Tom figured it out. He realized that every new place has its own challenges, but it was all part of the adventure. By the end of the day, Tom felt proud of himself for overcoming these small obstacles. He realized that part of traveling was facing the unknown and learning from it. Tom was growing more confident in his ability to handle anything that came his way. Each challenge made his experience more rewarding. The next morning, he decided to visit the famous Painted Ladies. These colorful Victorian houses were one of the most photographed places in San Francisco. Tom took several pictures and enjoyed the beautiful view of the city from the park. He was feeling more at home in the city now. Part 5. Goodbye to San Francisco. The days flew by, and before Tom knew it, it was time to say goodbye to San Francisco. He had visited all the iconic spots he wanted to see and had made lasting memories. On his last day, he visited the famous Fisherman's Wharf and had a bowl of clam chowder. It was the perfect way to end his trip. Tom felt grateful for the experiences he had and the people he met. Although he was sad to leave, he knew he would return someday. He had fallen in love with the city, its people, and its culture. As he boarded the plane back home, he reflected on everything he had learned. The trip had taught him not only about San Francisco, but also about himself. He had learned to be brave, to ask for help, and to embrace the unknown. The journey had changed him in ways he never expected. Tom was already planning his next adventure. Traveling had become a part of his life, and he couldn't wait to explore more of the world. As the plane took off, he smiled, excited for the future. San Francisco would always have a special place in his heart. He couldn't wait to come back. Part 6. Return home. When Tom returned to his home in Seattle, he couldn't stop talking about his trip. His family was eager to hear all about his adventures in San Francisco. He shared stories about the Golden Gate Bridge, the cable cars, and the people he met. They were all amazed at how much he had learned and how much fun he had. Tom's friends were also curious about his trip, and he promised to show them all his photos. He felt proud of what he had accomplished and was already planning his next vacation. Although he had been to many places in the U.S., San Francisco was different. It had left a lasting impression on him. He now understood why people loved the city so much. Tom's trip had opened his eyes to new possibilities. It made him realize how big the world really was and how much there was to see. He felt more connected to the world around him. San Francisco wasn't just a city, it was a place that had changed him forever. Tom knew he would keep the memories of his trip with him for the rest of his life. One day, he would return. Part 7. The end of the trip. Tom's journey to San Francisco had come to an end. He had learned so much and experienced so much more than he had ever imagined. As he thought back on his time in the city, he realized that travel was more than just visiting new places. It was about discovering yourself and connecting with the world around you. San Francisco had taught him valuable lessons about courage, curiosity, and friendship. He knew that no matter where his travels took him next, he would always carry the spirit of San Francisco with him. Tom smiled as he thought about his next adventure. There were so many more cities to explore and cultures to discover, but no matter where he went, San Francisco would always be his favorite city.